Yours is what, the fourth day in a row? Mercy me. Um, it's like in bowling, like you have a turkey where you have three strikes in a row. Your score goes higher when you have three strikes in a row than if they're spread out. Same thing is true in sales. So welcome to Top Gun Sales Bootcamp training. And it's been 6 months now. And so we've got so much stuff and we're going into another phase or dimension. And so I can't wait for that to occur. Let's dive in. Nora, what you got?
I had 35% for yesterday.
Nice. Ken, anything else you got, Nora?
Nope.
Kenny, what you got?
So we had yesterday we were talking about two different jobs we had. The one was a total roof repair, so the total job was around 10,000, and another was just a repair, like half an hour of work. And looking at what our minimum job should be in order for us, like if we show up and do a repair for half an hour, it doesn't take us that long, but charging, I think $350 is not enough.
Right.
Um, so how do you find
So
out
there's two.
what that
Yeah,
is?
there's two. There. You mean how do you explain it to the client, or how do you figure
Um,
pricing?
Maybe not explain it to the client, but figure out pricing for ourselves, for the sales guy, and the invoicing, the estimating process.
Um, So, I mean, you can track time. It's fuzzy logic. I don't know if I've talked to you guys about fuzzy logic on Top Gun, probably outside of Top Gun. So, left side of the brain is the linear analytic, right side of the brain is creative. So, in personalities, the left side of the brain tends to be the analytic and the driver, so linear thinking, and the right side tends to be the expressive and the amiable. And two, the linear is very, very much, here's this. The right side is very intuitive. The left side of the brain, typically men tend to be left side of the brain. Women tend to be bipolar. I mean, like in the second trimester in the womb, there's a chemical released in little boys that severs the right side of the brain from the left to some degree, not fully, but largely. That's why boys tend to be either really heavy dominant left and really hot dominant right. So they tend to be specialists. That's why they're really super creative or really super analytic, super high in that area. Women tend to do better in they have it going back and forth. The connection is back and forth in their brain, which that gives them the ability to think very differently than men. And so they tend, this is why little girls tend to communicate. This is why women tend to communicate more, because communication is very heavy left and right going back and forth. So that's why they talk a lot. There's medical science. It's how they were created. Why is that? I don't know. Talk to God. And so the left side of the brain is linear, and there's advantages to that way of thinking. The right side is intuitive. There's advantages to that way of thinking. Both have their strengths and both have their weaknesses. This is why women's intuition is women's intuition. This is why a wise husband is going to, or a wise business partner, when a woman says, yeah, I just have a bad feeling about that. My intuition is not. A wise man is going to strongly consider that always. Men tend to, again, when I say tend, it's a tend. It's not all men, it's not all women, but men tend to go ahead. You ask them why they may come up with a decision. They will often know this. It's linear. Women are like, I don't know, it's just a feeling. If your left side of the brain and your right side, if your linear matches with the nonlinear, then you can move quickly in business and life. That doesn't mean you're not going to blow up, but it's more. If they don't align, because the left side of the brain can be deceived. the linear side of the brain is easy to be deceived. This is why analytics, especially men, but analytics get taken advantage of in business, in get rich quick schemes. So if you look at get rich quick schemes, there's typically a lot of data. So the analytic thinks if there's a lot of data, then it must be right. And they like to think they're smart. So stocks and, predictive, all this stuff, the gambling, they think they're smart. So the linear, it's the left side. But it can be wrong, very, very wrong. The intuition can equally be wrong. Intuition, like, with 4 daughters, people say, follow your heart, no, do not, girls. Like a dad is like, no, do not. That is so easy to be deceived intuitively. But the intuitive stuff can reveal stuff that the linear can't. The linear can reveal stuff that the intuitive can't. And so both are very powerful. So it's not degrading the linear. It's not degrading. It's just understanding the weaknesses. So you can't really understand the strengths and use them fully until you understand the weaknesses and the vulnerability. And so going back to the pricing thing, you can, you can guess what the price is intuitively, and then you say, this is what I think it is, just intuition. I just think it should be this. And it's just when I can't figure something out in life, when things are so chaotic, like they are now, I go into the intuition. I go into the right side of my brain. I'm very left, like very analytic. But because I switched my personality for 2 years to the amiable, 3 years to the expressive, I can say that I'm not bipolar, I'm quad or quinpolar. And so the right side is when I can't figure something out, the intuition tends to go ahead and help me a lot. But I still am checking this, like Lambert says, check 6, I think it is. It's like, check your blind spots, check behind you, get other people to go ahead and be involved and stuff like that. So you come up with intuition, you guess on the pricing, Kenny, and then you go over into the analytic side and you go ahead and try to figure out time and opportunity cost and all of that. So what most people don't figure out in business is their opportunity cost. So it's the moving of the wall principle. So if you go ahead and have a path and it's blocked by a wall, you can take that wall and move it. And then you're free on that path, but it blocks off another path. And so in decision making, should this one get put into the decision making model? It probably should. Like the segment for decision making. And there's like Stan Lambert, him and I are like 2 boys, 3-year-old boys talking about decision making. Well, what about this? And what about this? Yeah. And then here's this and this. I mean, decision making is really complex. And if we don't understand the weaknesses of our decision making, that is going to go ahead and hurt us and other people around us. And the more influence we get, the more successful we get in financial or influence or people or relationships or whatever, the bigger the chance that we're going to hurt a lot of people. And I have a rule: if I hurt somebody, I don't ever say, I didn't do it on purpose. Like that to me is a stupid thing. When somebody says I didn't do it to you on purpose, that is a tell that they hurt a lot of people. They hurt a lot of people. It's a reflex. So what they're doing is they're flipping it on you and they're saying, well, it's your fault now because I didn't do it on purpose. So you need to forgive. You need to just be everything fine. And it's like, so if somebody says to you, I didn't do it on purpose. It's like, you just have this dumbass look and say, I didn't think you did it on purpose until you just said that. So it's not on purpose. It's just, they're sloppy. They're just sloppy, lazy, undisciplined people in relationships. Man, that was weird. That it went all over.
Right.
Yeah. So does that help?
Yeah, I think so. It's like it took us half an hour to do the job, but that was made possible by, we had the tools, the equipment, and the knowledge, all that.
Right.
How do you build?
So this is how you sell it to the customer. You sell it to the customer and you say, we have a minimum. because, you can say it's a minimum, or you can say, this is a minimum because we have the truck, we have the labor, we have all of the stuff that goes along with it. And so, it might take us 10 minutes, but, some of our clients are still in love with us. I mean, they love us because it would have taken them 2, 3, 4 hours to do. But because we have all of everything we need, it takes us 10 minutes. Now,
Right.
if they're not going to be there, do you need to tell them? I don't know. Like, is that being truthful and honest? I don't know. Like, there's a lot of gray.
And then there's also, I noticed a few things of some leaks that he had on his roof, so I just grabbed the pitch. We're gonna repair those. I walked all over the
Ignore.
entire roof, did all his repairs, roof check, and you know,
This is what I call the bumping of the couch principle. So when I owned a cleaning business when we were in college, you can clean underneath the couch and put the couch right back where it was found, and people might not even notice you do good things. If you're doing good things and it goes against what I was taught and biblically, kind of, because I don't really like telling people what I do good. Like, you know what? I'm not doing it for the recognition. I'm not. But in business, you have to. You do the extra work. You do the extra work, and you tell people you've done the extra work. You have to do that because a lot of times they won't know. And that's often when you do a box 7, when you ask for referrals.
we had it didn't really work as I had planned, but we had some spare time between the two jobs, and then when we were just driving through the neighborhood, we noticed like one piece of siding that the neighbor had off. It was just popped loose, and my thinking was, okay, we'll stop in there, talk to them, just, hey, we're in the neighborhood, random question, but we just saw you had a little missing loose piece of siding. If we go up there, we'll just do it. We're here, we have time. And all that we ask is that you consider us for future projects. And if you have any friends or neighbors that you know of that would looking for roofing projects, that you would refer us. And
It's
then
just brilliant. It's just brilliant business. Like, that's just brilliant business right there. So when you think about how much time and money you put in marketing, pre-sales, and sales, it's just like, what? Like, what? Like, like, really? Like, and then, but consumers are aware. Free duct cleaning, never get free duct cleaning. It's like going in. It's like going in, and they're going to find something to do it. So you don't want to get to that. And how do you prevent that from them thinking that? I don't know. Like, you don't come back with something that needs to be done. I don't know. Or you just are right up front with them and say, hey, this kind of irritates me when people do this, so we're not going to do this. But if we see something, we'll say something. And so yeah. And then, but it's not like I think it was Tim, Luke's brother. Yeah, it was Tim. Like, we have an older house. And when the gas comes, there's a gas leak. There's a gas leak. And the guy said, your valves, they'll last a lifetime. But this house is older than a lifetime. And so one of the valves went bad. And so Tim came in and did a great job on it and fixed it. So I'm thinking, well, there's other valves that could go bad too. So do I want to get out in front of that or not? I don't know. So it's just like, pretty frugal. And so it's just like tires on a car. It's like they have 30% tread on them. Like, I don't want to waste and I don't want to waste it. But when it gets lower, you get less traction. There's risk of an accident. That's far more than getting new tires. So, so if you have those kind of examples, those are when you're honest and say, listen, it's your choice. This is what it is. And then,
I like to,
go ahead.
when somebody's roof looks bad, I like to mention something about, you don't want to wait to call the fire trucks until you have a fire. You want to prevent the fire.
Right. And that sounds like a salesperson.
How do I better?
I was raised on it, and so I was raised very conservative. Nor is that a lie.
Not Luke wasn't.
Right.
If you
So now
say that or Luke does.
Luke says that. So I'm super, super hypersensitive about lying now. Like, is this like, I don't know, where is the point? So he was raised Amish. So I was raised Amish, and Amish tend to be very frugal. That would be a fair statement. So okay, I think tightwads, like, I don't know. So like the Dutch, like my parents were. It's not bad, it's good, but whatever. He says, so I was raised Amish and so very frugal. So, I see your roof and it got, 20% left on it. I don't know. I don't know honestly what to recommend. Like, I don't know if I should recommend doing it because, you could probably get by. My concern is, like a fire, you don't want to wait until it is. You don't want it to damage. So, I mean, I don't know. It's your call. So that builds tremendous trust. Like, wow. Huh. Okay. Does that make sense, Luke?
Uh-huh.
All right. Luke, what you got?
How do you determine when to, like, for a subcontractor, like, they're not giving me a service that I need? Like, okay, fine, I'll move on. I'll find someone else.
Well, ideally you have two or three, you have three deep. Because if they can go out and get their own job, they're going to make more money getting direct to the consumer rather than going through you. So ideally you have three deep and you have your favorite. And if your favorite's booked up and they can't do it, if your favorite's booked up, can't do it, you got to have backup. You don't wait. You're developing relationships. So that's, with a growing company, that's why you go and say, well, I'm going to work with subcontract and tell you, like, well, they're going to put their stuff first. And so your marketing sales machine, you can ramp that up and it can be hard to do that. That's why you need a recruiting machine. That's why maybe do you and Kenny need to go in to, Amish schools? Do you need to go out and develop relationships with, bishops and, ministers? Do you need to go into the English schools? Like, do you need to go in to those people? Will that actually go ahead and have a greater impact, Luke, than you going and helping somebody fix their house, a widow or something like that? Like, you can alter. I'll never forget. I was in small group at church, and this guy comes in, and he's like, I don't know, he's in his mid-30s or something, and he comes in. He's like, "Are you Mark Boersma?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you remember me?" Like, I apologize, I don't. He said, "You changed my life forever." I said, "Okay." He said, "Do you remember when you spoke at Northern Illinois University on personalities?" I said, "I do." He says, "I was one of the students in that class." I said, "Cool." He says, "What you said changed my entire life. I'm in the job I'm in now, in the occupation I am now, because of that one time you spoke." Like, dang, that felt good. That was really cool. So now is helping the little old lady. And again, nothing wrong with that. There's nothing there. But the thing is if you're working under somebody else's umbrella, they're getting the credit, they're getting the work, they're using that as a recruiting strategy, probably, to go ahead and get people in. Not bad. You're doing good things and benefit business. But will it give the dopamine hit to go in? And the public speaking, you want to do that. So you go in and you go ahead and go to the Amish schools and say, hey, this is what, this is what it is. And so how do you do good and grow your business at the same time? You got to get the recruiting stuff. If your marketing and sales machine is rocking, you got to go ahead and have the servicing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
When you go ahead and you get your marketing muscle and your sales muscle big, you got to go ahead. You got to go in. And this here, it's cool to work with people who care. So Nora's in the sales. She and I in sales are doing really good. And so she's concerned about the servicing, and so Ginger Ann is, she leads up a lot of that. And so she's concerned that Nora's concerned. Not in a bad way. She's just like, how can I help her have confidence in us? Keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. And so having a conversation, Nora, having a conversation with her servicing people and say, here's my fears, here's my concern, and them having honest conversation. How do you get people to have honest conversation? It's not easy, right? Yeah. How do you get women to have honest conversation? It's genetically impossible, I think. I do. I think it's genetically impossible to have women have honest conversation with the person, not with somebody else. I don't know. It's my observation. Okay. This.
So, one more other thing. What about, so I have this sense of loyalty or this sense of something where when we need subcontractors, I don't like getting more than one price. Like if somebody puts in the work to get a quote together, I like going with them. How do I not justify that, but overcome that where like, hey, I'll get 3 quotes and then whichever I like.
He said to me once, he said, Mark, you're killing me on price. Like he's a vendor. And I'm like, he's like, I have 2 kids, Mark, to feed. You're killing me. There's no meat on the bone. I can't make any money. And since he used his kids, what did I do? Use my kids. I said, well, it's either your kids eat or my 7 kids eat. I mean, and he went with the price that I needed. So you got team members that you're trying to go ahead and help to provide for them and their families. They do too. So, and so are you going to be fair? Would you like to be treated the way they're being treated? And so, so some jobs you make more money, some jobs you don't. The ones you don't make more money on, so there's somebody that went ahead and, is potentially getting laid off. And I have a sense of responsibility to go ahead and help that person. Why? Because he came over and he's worked on different, properties. He worked on, property here, and he made a lot less money than he could have in other places. He never complained, never whined. So what he did is he chose a friend. Like he chose to, and other people won't notice that. I'll notice that. And so I feel I have a sense of not total responsibility, but a sense if he gets laid off, I have a responsibility to him to go ahead and help his economic engine, find him a job, create a job, have him do like he didn't intentionally do it, but it's there. And so I don't know if that helps. So business is rough and tumble, Luke, and you got to provide. If you don't go ahead and if you don't have the margins, if the margins aren't there, so you know what? If they're not like the whole bidding, it's not like if their profit margins 20% and somebody else's is 10%, you need that 10% to pay your people. Like you got it. It's business. Okay. So in the PPA, this you're going to fall in love with these numbers. So soon, Nora's going to be able to look at points and Monday through Saturday and see her points. She'll be able to look at trends in the data. She's going to be able to look at dollars per point. She's going to be able to look at pressure points. And so they're working on doing it, steps. So even though you guys' sales is different, very different, but going to try to get it to where you guys can go ahead and work together. I mean, you guys can compete in a good way, like running a marathon, so you can go ahead and all improve one another. How is your pressure point, this and this? And so there's some really cool things happening with Life GPS CRM system, the PPA. And so your data that you guys are inputting, like once you see it, the more data you have, the more you're going to reveal. And so every day that you enter data in, you're going to have data, and that's going to go ahead. When this comes up, you're going to go back in data, and you're going to I wish I had been doing this for the last 6 months. I wish I had been tracking this for last year. But it is what it is, so track it now. Anybody else have anything else? We all good?
Nope.
All right. So always remember, we can accomplish so much more. There's more people. Nora's, sharing the Top Gun with other people. So there's 3 people that are joining there. And then another one we talked. Again, Top Gun is not just for salespeople. There'll be whole different communities. There'll probably be a community for moms and a community for kids, and so in the pricing of it, it's priced really affordable. Like people, this will be the best investment they can make into themselves. So share this with others. Always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.